Hello everyone and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the life and honestly the unbelievable scientific legacy of Albert Einstein. I mean, when you hear that name, you probably instantly picture the crazy hair, right? The ultimate symbol of absolute genius. But as we're going to see today, he was a deeply complex guy, and his legacy isn't just trapped in some dusty physics textbook. It's actually baked right into our daily lives. From the literal fabric of the universe down to the gadgets in our pockets, his fingerprints are absolutely everywhere.
Okay, let's dive into this. First up, we really need to bust a massive myth. Because his name is quite literally synonymous with intelligence, a ton of rumors have popped up over the years, including the very famous story that he actually failed math as a kid. Spoiler alert, totally false. But as we unpack his true genius today, we're going to look way past those myths. We're going to see exactly how a theoretical physicist born in the 19th century essentially laid the fundamental groundwork for the smartphone you might be holding right at this very second.
To really understand the genius, we have to start by grounding him in reality. So picture this. It's 1901. Einstein just secured his teaching diploma in physics and math, but he can't actually find a teaching post. So he takes a job as a technical assistant at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. And day in, day out, he's reviewing patent applications for super practical everyday stuff, like gravel sorters and electric typewriters. But here's the crazy part. This supposedly boring job was the perfect incubator. While evaluating these mechanical inventions, his mind would wander into these elaborate thought experiments about sending signals and synchronizing clocks. That structured mechanical environment of the patent office actually helped him formulate some of his most revolutionary ideas about space, time, and light.
And all of that quiet daydreaming? It culminated in one single monumental year, 1905. In the scientific community, this is famously known as his annus mirabilis, or the miracle year. The sheer output that came from his desk in those 12 months completely altered the foundation of modern physics. It permanently changed how we view mass, energy, space, and time. He didn't just publish one groundbreaking paper that year, he published 4. He tackled the photoelectric effect, the theory of Brownian motion, special relativity, and mass-energy equivalence. In these interconnected works, he proved that the speed of light is always fixed. It doesn't change based on the movement of an observer, which was considered totally impossible under the old Newtonian rules. Oh, and he also casually gave us the world's most famous equation, E = mc squared, showing that mass and energy are fundamentally equivalent to each other.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the historical disconnect between what we assume today and what actually happened. Ask anyone and they'll naturally assume Einstein won his Nobel Prize for the theory of relativity. I mean, it's what he's most famous for. But the actual historical citation tells a completely different story. He won the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics specifically for his discovery of the law of the photoelectric effect.
So, the crucial point here is understanding exactly what this effect is. Einstein proposed that light isn't just made up of continuous waves, which is what everyone previously thought. Instead, he argued it actually consists of tiny individual particles, which we later started calling photons. This profoundly changed our understanding of how light and matter interact down at the quantum level. And look, I promise you, this isn't just high-level physics jargon. This is the very concept that practically impacts your life today.
Because of Einstein's 1905 paper on the photoelectric effect, we were able to develop entirely new categories of technology. When you see solar panels absorbing light to create energy, or when a burglar alarm goes off because a beam of light gets broken, you are witnessing the photoelectric effect in action. Most importantly, this is the exact fundamental science that allows the digital camera inside your smartphone to capture light and turn it into the photos you share every single day. This century-old history matters right now every time you snap a picture.
And you know, sometimes that physics interacts with our modern world in highly surprising, even hilarious ways. Just recently, engineers who were testing out a Raspberry Pi, which is this tiny budget computer board, discovered something wild. When they took a picture of the computer using a high-intensity xenon flash, the whole computer completely crashed. The brilliant flash of photons literally flooded the computer's components, interacting with the matter on the circuit board and just freezing the system. It's a hilarious, modern-day, real-world confirmation of the power of photons that Einstein described over a century ago.
Fast forward 10 years from that miracle year, and Einstein expanded his horizons even further. While his 1905 special relativity reconciled electricity and magnetism with mechanics, proving the speed of light is fixed, he definitely didn't stop there. In 1915, he introduced general relativity. And this was a massive leap because it finally incorporated gravitation. He essentially provided the mathematical model for the structure and evolution of the universe itself, laying the very first stones for modern theoretical cosmology.
But while his scientific mind was out there mapping the cosmos, his personal life was deeply tethered to the geopolitical turbulence here on Earth. Born in the German Empire, his citizenship status was constantly shifting. He went from being stateless in 1896 to Swiss in 1901, back to German in 1914, and finally became an American citizen in 1940. It was a direct reflection of the volatile, rapidly changing borders of early 20th century Europe.
And that volatility reached a tragic tipping point in 1933. While Einstein happened to be visiting the United States, Adolf Hitler came to power back in Germany. Horrified by the Nazi regime's severe persecution of his fellow Jews, Einstein made the decision not to return. He renounced his German citizenship once again and remained in the U.S., eventually securing a position as a resident scholar at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey, where he would spend the rest of his career.
Because of his unparalleled standing in the scientific community, his influence ended up extending far beyond just academia. On the eve of World War II, Einstein actually endorsed a letter sent to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt. He alerted the president to the potential of a German nuclear weapons program and strongly recommended that the U.S. begin its own research. This letter was the critical spark that led to the creation of the Manhattan Project. It's a really stark reminder of how deeply theoretical physics can impact massive geopolitical consequences.
Now, despite helping to spark the quantum revolution in the first place, Einstein really struggled with the direction modern physics took later in his life. He famously stated, "God does not play dice." And this brilliantly illustrates his fundamental objection to the new quantum mechanics. Einstein firmly believed in a structured, highly predictable universe. He pushed back incredibly hard against the idea that fundamental randomness and probability were at the core of science's picture of the world.
This deep objection pretty much defined his final years in Princeton. He spent much of the last phase of his academic life somewhat isolated from mainstream modern physics. Because he rejected quantum randomness, he dedicated years to devising a unified field theory, basically trying to unify gravitation and electromagnetism, though he was ultimately unsuccessful. Yet, through this intellectual solitude, he retained his deep humanity, finding great relaxation and solace in his lifelong love of music. Albert Einstein passed away in 1955 at the age of 76.
We've traced his life from a quiet desk at a Swiss patent office to the deepest mysteries of gravity and straight into the digital cameras we use every single day. So I'll leave you with this. From the ability to snap a digital photo to our very understanding of the vast cosmos, just how much of our modern world relies entirely on one patent clerk's structured imagination. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.